Hi guys, I'm Jay Theo and I'm back with another video. If you do follow me and you subscribe to me, I know it's been about a month since I posted a video, but I'm back. A lot's been going on in my life. I just celebrated a birthday, y'all. I'm 32 years old now. Shout out to all my Tauruses out there this month. But honestly, y'all, there's just been a lot going on in life, personally, professionally, in the world. I just hope that everybody's doing okay. So just continue to take time for yourself, continue to do the things that give you a sense of peace. But y'all, I'm back with another video and that's all I have to say. So we're gonna dive right on into this video, y'all. I actually wanna talk about the fact that I do not want kids, and it really impacts my dating, the fact that I don't want kids. So as a gay man, I always thought that dating would be easy when it came to the desire to not have kids. I came to the realization that I didn't want kids probably about maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And I've been more firm with that belief probably in the last like 3 years. I genuinely just don't want to be a parent. A lot of people think because I give advice and I'm very compassionate, I'm caring and all these things and I'm sensitive that I would be a great dad. And hey, you know, in an alternative universe, maybe I would be a great dad. Ultimately, I don't want to be a parent, so I think that that would make me a bad dad if I were to have kids. I think that I would become resentful towards those kids. I really like my freedom. I like being able to wake up anytime on a Saturday. I like being able to wake up at any time on a Sunday. And I like that if I have to get fired from my job, that it's only me that I have to support, that it doesn't affect a whole family. I don't have to worry about feeding my kids and things like that. I like the freedom and the obligation to be able to shift and move in this world and not be tied down by little human beings that I'm legally bound to. Now, this is no shade to anybody that wants kids, specifically any gay men that want kids. This is no shade to you at all. There is surprisingly a lot of you out there. So this is no shade to people that want kids, but for me, it's just not something that serves me. It's just not something that I want to do in this lifetime. I think life is very short and I don't want to add on more obligations, more responsibilities onto my current life. You know, already someone who has to work a 9 to 5, I'm side hustling with YouTube and TikTok and other things that I'm trying to do in the entertainment space. It's already a lot of responsibility and obligation, and it's already a lot of stress, and I still feel like I don't have enough hours in the day. So I don't want to feel those days having to look at homework. I don't want to feel those days having to look over somebody if they're sick, having to, you know, make somebody happy in a way that takes time away from me. And I do want to be selfish in that. That is something that I want to be selfish about, is that I want to be selfish with my time, and I don't want to offer that to anybody but a potential partner or potential partners if I get into a poly or monaga, or a more traditional relationship. So, but y'all, it's been tough dating. I recently met this guy that I really liked. We hit it off. We had a lot in common. We had so many things in common. We built this amazing connection and it was great. It was great. And I was super excited about the possibility of us really getting to know each other and possibility for it actually leading into a potential relationship. And unfortunately, he really wants kids. So I had to make the adult decision to have a conversation with him to end what we were doing, because I know ultimately I don't want kids. I've dated other guys in the past where they told me they wanted kids, I told them I didn't want kids, and we tried to date, and ultimately it led to like, it inevitably ended with us not being able to be with each other because we weren't compatible, because we both didn't want the same thing. And I honestly think it's okay for people to want kids and to desire that. And I would never want to be the reason that someone chooses not to go after something they want or they desire. I think, like I said, yet again, life is short, and I think we all should be able to go after the things we want, and we all should be able to get the things we want, or majority of the things we want, when it comes to a partner. Now, I definitely think there's compromises that can happen when you are dating, when you are in a relationship. I definitely think there are, but I don't think kids can be a compromise. As my favorite podcaster, Dan Savage, says, you cannot have half a kid, you cannot have half a kid. So that's just one thing for me. It's a complete deal breaker if somebody wants kids or if they have kids. I just have no interest in dealing with children at all. It's no shade to children. I think kids are great. I have nieces and nephews that I love very much, that I'm really connected to. But when it comes down to actually having my own children or dealing with somebody else's children on a regular basis, that's just not something that I desire to do at all. And I want to respect someone who, if they do want to have that, if they do want to have a family, they do want to have kids, that they can find that with someone else and they can have that experience with someone else. But it does make me a little discouraged at time when it comes to dating, because a lot of the guys that I meet, most of the guys I date are black guys, but I'm pretty sure I would have the same issue if I was dating brown guys or Latino or Hispanic guys, because I know that their culture is also big on family. I mean, if you guys can let me know in the comments if that's not true, but I feel like a lot of these minority communities, you know, they are big on family and they want to create family. I also think for a lot of gay men, one thing I've noticed too is a lot of black gay men, we go through trauma, we have very broken families, so that when we do become affluent and we have money and things, we decide that we want to create our own family that we kind of never had. And I think that's great. I think that's beautiful. I think that's something that should be praised. But at the end of the day, I don't want that. And it's just discouraging, because I feel like at times that it's just discouraging at times when you meet somebody and you're excited and you guys check every single box, but then the kid conversation comes up and that's one that you just can't compromise on. So I wanted to make this video for anybody out there that is queer, that is trying to date and having the same issue as me, or even somebody who's straight, who has made the decision that they do not want children and they're having this difficulty of trying to meet people that also don't want children. I have a couple girlfriends that are straight and they have this issue too, where they don't want kids, and a lot of guys they meet do want kids. And I think it's so interesting that so many men want kids, when historically men have never been the best when it comes to fathering and parenting and things like that. Not to shade potential parents of being fathers, I'm not shading that, but it's just interesting to me how often I hear how men are the ones who want the kids and want to have a family. It's just very interesting. I think that's why, for me, being a gay guy, it was shocking for me to keep meeting so many people that want to have children. So it's just interesting. I do want to dive in a little bit more on particularly why I don't want children. So if you're somebody who's teetering on the idea, maybe this video can connect with you and you can find some sense of community with me, and you can maybe even build the confidence to be okay with stating that you don't want children. It definitely took me a few years for me to finally be firm in the idea that I don't want kids. So besides the no obligation and the freedom of just having pure freedom as an adult, as reasoning why I don't want kids, I also just don't feel that optimistic about the world currently. I feel like in the United States, I feel like we're going backwards when it comes to being a minority. I know in Mississippi and other states, they're trying to enact Jim Crow laws. You know, they're currently trying to push so many anti-trans laws, and they're also trying to currently push so many anti-gay and they're currently trying to push so many anti-gay laws. And I just don't want to raise a child in this country where, if they are not a straight, hetero, white boy, that they are gonna have some huge hiccups when it comes to their civil rights. And I feel like where the world is going, I do not have confidence in the next 30, 40 years that we are to be in a place that is gonna serve my child. Also, global warming is very alive and well. We notice it with the way the weather patterns have been. I live in LA, y'all, and it snowed in Los Angeles this year. It snowed in LA this year. It's very clear that our world is crumbling from a weather standpoint, and not to sound really pessimistic, but I just feel like I do not want to bring a child in that. I was watching this documentary a couple months ago, and they said a child born today is like 70 times more likely to have to deal with a natural disaster that could either displace them or kill them than any other generation before them. So why would I want to bring a kid into this world? And they are 70 times more likely to have to deal with hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, blizzards, all these crazy things that could displace them or that could kill them. Also, I also feel like where our food is and the things we eat is just poisonous to us. Like, I feel like everything that we eat, there's so many things, there's so many chemicals, there's so many things that can cause cancer, that can cause just our bodies to not be at their best. And we have to take all these supplements and vitamins and all these other things to counteract what we eat. I don't like that either when it comes to the possibility of having kids. Also, gun violence is the #1 cause of death for children now. It's the #1 leading cause of death for children. I do not want to have to worry about my child going to school and being shot by a mass shooter who went to that school 30 years ago and now wants to retaliate against the bullies in his head because he used to go to school, so he's gonna come and shoot up a bunch of kids. Like, I don't want to have to worry about that every day. I also watched a documentary about 3-4 months ago about missing kids and how there's so many black and brown, even white too, but there's so many black and brown missing kids that nobody ever looks for, that nobody tries to find. There's so many of them. And the thought of my kid going missing and being human trafficked or something like that, that type of worry, I just could not be able to sit with and deal with. And this is not to fearmonger, this is not to scare you guys from having kids, but these are real things that are happening, and these are valid reasons for why someone may choose not to have children. And I think that it's just frustrating not being able to find more gay men, particularly more gay men of color, more black gay men, that feel the same way I feel about the way the world is and just about the idea of what it really means to raise a child in this world, particularly in America. Now, obviously, I think children are great, and I think obviously the world, we need to keep populating the world for it to keep going in a sense. But at the end of the day, I also think that we need to really think about the well-being of children as they become adults. I think a lot of parents look at kids as these cute things, these cute accessories, these cute humans that you have that look like you or that are connected to you in some sense. But at the end of the day, these kids will become adults and they need to live in this world and they need to prosper in this world. And what I think is wild is that so many of us hate going to work every day. So many of us hate going to school. So many of us hate obligations. So many of us get overwhelmed. So many of us have so much anxiety. So many of us have all these things that stress us out daily, but we wanted kids to have to go through this. And then on top of it, I love that I'm a black person. I love my black culture. I love my black skin. I love being queer. I love being gay. But at the end of the day, being gay, being black, being anything but a white man in our society is hard. It is hard. And if I were to adopt kids or have my own kids, they would be black or they would for sure be brown. And I would definitely not, I don't want my kids to have to go through and deal with the bullshit that I'll have to deal with. Yes, I made a decent life for myself, but even now I'm side hustling, doing YouTube, doing TikTok, doing things in the entertainment field so that I can not have to work a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life, so that I can have a life that's more comfortable and more leisure-like, even though it's still a part of this capitalistic system. So I just don't wish this adult life really on a child. I feel like it's so many hoops and obstacles you have to go through to get that dream life, to get that ideal life. And even then when people have it, is that still even the life that you thought you wanted? So those are some additional reasons why it's just so difficult for me to fathom having a child in this day and age, and why I just hope that one day I can find a partner that thinks like me and that have things in common, that don't want children. And going forward, when it comes to dating, any inkling I get, and this is something actually the guy I was talking to recently said, any inkling I get that somebody wants kids, that they want to be a parent, it's a deal breaker for me. I have no interest in it. I don't want to be a parent. I am firm in the idea that I do not want kids. I have nieces and nephews that I have been very pivotal in their lives, that I get the aspect of what it's like to deal with children and babysit and all those things, and that's enough for me. But I'm gonna be more firm in the fact that it's a deal breaker for me. It's something that I don't want in my life, and to protect my feelings and protect me from liking somebody and then getting hurt after that, I'm just gonna be firm with that. And anybody else out there, I think if you do not want children, I will follow the same philosophy. If you don't want kids and you're dating somebody and they do want kids, and you ask them in the first couple of days and they let you know, believe them and move on, because you cannot have half a child. You cannot have half a child. You cannot wake up one day and compromise on having a kid. You cannot. Another reason why it's so hard for me to think of having kids as a black queer person, it's extremely expensive. If you want to adopt, it's expensive. If you want to have IVF and have a surrogate, that's super expensive too. I looked it up in California, where I live. It's about $90,000 for a surrogate and $30,000 for the IVF process. So it can range anywhere, in total from $90,000 to like $120,000. Now, yeah, there's like way you can take out loans for it, you can finance it, all these things. And yes, if you have somebody that wants to be a surrogate, that knocks down a lot of the finance. But y'all, who has $100,000 just sitting around in the bank? Who has that? Who has that just ready? And I'm not saying that's not a good price to pay for a child, but to pay that much money to create a child when there's so many children that's already here just behooves me. And I do think that the gay parents out there that adopt, I think that's amazing. I think you guys are giving somebody a home, you're keeping them out the system. But even adoption, it ranges around like $50,000 for the fees and the steps that it takes to adopt. And I know a lot of people be wanting infants and newborns and toddlers to adopt. And that also, they say that it's a lot harder for queer people to be able to get younger. It's also, there's still a lot of discrimination that happens to queer people, particularly queer men of color, when they are working in the adoption agency. So there's still gonna be discrimination, there's gonna be racism, all the above. And then with all these laws right now that are becoming more anti-gay, I presume it's gonna be more difficult for queer people to adopt as these laws start to be created, as our government continues to shift and change. So I definitely think also they don't make it easy for queer people to have children. They don't make it easy for you to adopt. They don't make it affordable for you to do it. And I also feel like, I understand there are a lot of gay affluent people, but when it comes to being black and gay, even if you are making over 6 figures and you have a higher paying job, a lot of us are still paying off student loans. A lot of us still have a lot of debt that we have to work through, and our wealth is not where it needs to be, unfortunately. And in the world we live in, the only way I would ever be able to even have a child, I would have to be buku rich. I would have to be like a millionaire, multi-millionaire, billionaire level person. I get why Rihanna and Beyonce and all them pop-out babies left and right, because they are billionaires. They have all this money. Their kid will never have to worry about anything. And unfortunately, I'm not like some of these celebrities. I'm not like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, who's like, oh, I'm giving all our money to charity. I'm not gonna have my kids. I'm not giving this money to my kids. No, I want my kids to be able to have a leisure life. I want them to have an easy life. I want them to have a soft life. I'm not one of those parents that like, you gotta work, you gotta do all these things, you can't be spoiled. Why? We only get one life, and I think for most of us, life should be leisureful. It should be peaceful. It shouldn't be working 40 hours a week. It shouldn't be side hustling 20 hours a week just to have the life you want. So this is my spiel. It was kind of a rant, but I definitely wanted to come back with another video, guys. I know it's been a minute, but if anybody can relate, please drop a comment. Let me know if you relate to dating in the gay world, in the queer world, or even in the straight world, and having issues finding people that don't want kids. I didn't think it would be this difficult as a black gay man finding other black queer men or brown men that don't want children. And just seeing how much the desire is for men to have kids, I just did not expect that. It's definitely something that's frustrating, but y'all, I'm gonna keep powering through. I think every step I'm getting closer to finding my partner or partners. If you guys see some of my other videos, I am open to non-monogamy potentially. So hopefully I will find him soon, and he will be someone who is open to a dual income, no kids lifestyle. Hopefully he's a dink and he wants to travel the world, and he wants freedom, he wants no obligation, and we can be each other's family, and we can rock each other out and be supportive for each other and really be true partners. So that's my spiel, that's my rant. But like I said, if you guys can relate, please be sure to drop a comment. Let me know if you can relate. I would love to hear from you guys. If you guys like this content, please be sure to subscribe. If you already subscribed, y'all, I will be making sure to post more videos on a regular basis. Like I said, a lot has been going on in my life, but I'm definitely gonna get back focused on YouTube. Be sure to follow me on TikTok, Twitter, j.theo on TikTok, j_theo_ on Twitter. But as always, guys, do your best to stay safe, stay positive, and I will see you guys on the next video.